Did you know that there are many syndromes that you could be suffering from right now and you don't know it? Do you want to see if you have one of them? Then you know what to do. Stay until the end of the video. Let's start right after the opening theme, which isn't there. So my old sports, this is EdDevelop, where you will find the best scientific and similar curiosities. Subscribe and activate the notification bell to enrich your day every time we upload a new video, and consider our Patreon. Find the link below in the description. Now, it is time for the fun parts. Syndromes are groups of symptoms that occur together in the same person and allow us to identify a disease or disorder. But how were they discovered and what are the curious facts about them? Let's find out together. Chronic fatigue. Have you ever felt so tired that you can't do anything? It could be a syndrome. Chronic fatigue syndrome is a disorder that causes extreme fatigue that is not relieved by rest. And here is the tragicomic part. It is thought that chronic fatigue syndrome may be caused by a virus called Epstein-Barr virus, the same virus that causes mononucleosis. Do you suffer from anxiety? What happens when someone is very afraid of something? They may have generalized anxiety disorder. This disorder causes excessive fear and worry about lots of different things. Some studies suggest that people with GAS have an increased ability to recognize fear in facial expressions. So, do you think you have a syndrome? That could be one too, couldn't it, old sport? Then let's look at a few more things to see if you really have one. Have you fallen in love with your kidnapper? Stockholm-Gardner syndrome is a psychological phenomenon that will leave you open-mouthed. So get ready to find out. What is Stockholm-Gardner syndrome? It is a psychological disorder that causes a person who has been abducted or held against their will to develop a strange sympathy or affection for their captor. Have you ever heard of a love-hate relationship? Well, Stockholm-Gardner syndrome is something like that. Did you know that people can develop feelings of sympathy or affection for their captors even after they have been abducted? It's like being caught on an emotional roller coaster. Can you imagine being held against your will and, instead of feeling fear, feeling a strange emotional connection with your captor? That's Stockholm-Gardner syndrome. Did you know that sometimes people develop a kind of loyalty or protection towards their captors, even justifying their behavior? It's as if the brain gets confused and mixes up the roles of victim and captor. Hey, wait! Now's the time. Subscribe to the channel to be entertained while learning. It's free! Who discovered it? It was first discovered by the psychiatrist Niels Bejerot in 1973 after a bank robbery in Stockholm in which hostages developed an emotional bond with their captors. How does it develop? Stockholm-Gardner syndrome develops as a form of psychological defense against a stressful situation. The victim begins to identify with the kidnapper and may begin to justify his or her actions. Is it hereditary? Don't worry, it is not yet clear whether Stockholm-Gardner syndrome has a genetic basis, but some studies suggest that there may be a hereditary component. Is there a cure? Yes. Stockholm-Gardner syndrome can be treated with psychological therapy and emotional support. It is important to seek professional help if you think you may have this syndrome. Fun fact, the syndrome is named after the 1973 Stockholm bank robbery in which 4 people were held hostage for 6 days. After they were rescued, the hostages defended their captors and refused to testify against them in court. Was it the syndrome? Or were they accidentally complicit in the affair? We leave that to your imagination, old sports. Have you ever heard of Munchausen syndrome? It is a disorder that has become quite well known because of its unique characteristics. Did you know that it was named after a literary character? But who actually discovered it? It was the British psychiatrist Richard Asher who first described it in 1951. Want to know how this syndrome develops? People who suffer from it constantly seek medical attention, but not for real health problems, but for illnesses they invent or provoke themselves. In other words, they pretend to have symptoms or even harm themselves in order to create the conditions necessary for medical attention. And here's the fun fact. There is a variant of Munchausen syndrome in which patients pretend to have mental illnesses instead of physical illnesses. This variation is known as Munchausen proximity syndrome or mother fogging syndrome. In these cases, the caregiver fakes or provokes symptoms in the child in order to get medical attention. Does this story sound familiar? Well, there is a movie based on real events that did not end happily for the person who did this. You know what I mean? Can't stop moving your legs? Have you ever felt an irresistible urge to move your legs, especially when you're lying in bed? That's restless leg syndrome. Did you know that this urge to move your legs can be so intense that it can affect the quality of your sleep? It's as if your legs have a life of their own and want to dance all night long. Have you ever wondered who discovered restless leg syndrome? It was a Swedish neurologist named Carl Axel Ekbom in 1944. Did you know that the syndrome is characterized by an uncomfortable and urgent feeling to move your legs? It's like your legs want to dance a salsa and you can't stop them. Are you surprised to learn that restless leg syndrome typically develops in adulthood and can be caused by factors such as iron deficiency, chronic disease, and certain medications? It's true. Did you know that the restless feeling and need to move your legs can be worse during periods of inactivity, such as sitting or lying down? It's as if your legs want to take a walk in the park. Have you ever heard that restless leg syndrome can run in families? It's true. Did you know that certain genes can increase your chances of developing restless leg syndrome, and that having family members with the disorder can increase your risk? It's like your legs are trying to pass restless legs down through the generations. Are you surprised to learn that there is no cure for restless leg syndrome, but there are treatments that can help manage the symptoms? Iron therapy, medications, and other treatments can help people with the syndrome improve their quality of life and sleep better at night. It's as if your legs are finally trying to find the peace and comfort they need to rest. So if you're sleeping with someone who has it, don't worry. Involuntary tics. Have you ever wondered who discovered Tourette syndrome? It was a French physician named Georges Guilles de la Tourette in 1855. Did you know that the syndrome is characterized by motor and vocal tics that can be simple or complex? It's like your body wants to tickle you and you can't stop it. Are you surprised to learn that Tourette's syndrome develops in childhood and can last a lifetime? Tics can get better or worse over time, and people with this disorder can experience other mental health problems, such as anxiety and depression. It's like your body wants to keep the party going, but sometimes it doesn't know how. Have you ever heard that Tourette syndrome is hereditary? Unfortunately, it's true. There is a genetic predisposition that makes family members of people with the syndrome more likely to develop it. It's as if your body wants to pass on the torch of tics to the next generation. Did you know that cognitive behavioral therapy, medication, and other treatments can help people with the syndrome live full and satisfying lives? CBD is even being sought for use in these people to help them cope. Do you think we've missed anything stranger and weirder than this? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for making it to the end of the video, my old sport. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. See you next time.